So what is up, y'all? Thank you for coming back. This is going to be a little bit different. This is called Killer Conspiracies 2026 News Around the World. So what this is going to be about is just things right now in the world, and it's going to be kind of like a newspaper for conspiracies. So, and this is going to be episode 1, and hopefully you have a fun time watching this. I sure did when I put it together, and I'll see you in the middle. Peace!
Secretary shared a post earlier today saying, stop what you're doing and read this. And if this thing is true, this is probably going to be one of the most terrifying eyewitness testimonies I've ever read and I've ever heard of being interviewed or anything. There was an account from a Venezuelan security guard loyal to Nicolas Maduro that shared what happened on the day of the operation when they seized Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela. Apparently, it was a security guard. So the beginning of the interview goes like this. The security guard says, on the day of the operation, we didn't hear anything coming. We were on guard, but suddenly all our radar systems shut down without any explanation. The next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones, flying over our positions. We didn't know how to react. And then the interviewer said, so what happened next? How was the main attack? And the security guard responded by saying, after those drones appeared, some helicopters arrived, but there were very few. I think barely 8 helicopters. From those helicopters, soldiers came down, but a very small number, maybe 20 men. But those men were technologically very advanced. They didn't look like anything we fought against before. And then the interviewer said, and then the battle began? Security guard says, yes, but it was a massacre. We were hundreds, but we had no chance. They were shooting with such precision and speed. It seemed like each soldier was firing 300 rounds per minute. We couldn't do it. Interviewer said, and your own weapons, didn't they help? Security guard says, no help at all, because it wasn't just the weapons. At one point, they launched something. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a very intense sound wave. Suddenly, I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. We all started bleeding from the nose. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move. Interviewer says, and your comrades, did they manage to resist? Security guard says, no, not at all. Those 20 men without a single casualty killed hundreds of us. We had no way to compete with their technology, with their weapons. I swear I've never seen anything like it. We couldn't even stand up after that sonic weapon or whatever it was. The interview says, so do you think the rest of the region should think twice before confronting the Americans? The security guard says, without a doubt. I'm sending a warning to anyone who thinks they can fight the United States. They have no idea what they're capable of. After what I saw, I never want to be on the other side of that again. They're not to be messed with. And then the interviewer says, and now that Trump has said Mexico is on the list, do you think the situation will change in Latin America? The security guard says, definitely. Everyone is already talking about this. No one wants to go through what we went through. Now everyone thinks twice. What happened here is going to change a lot of things, not just in Venezuela, but throughout the region. Now again, this was shared by the White House press secretary, Carolyn Levitt.
Important developments in our 5-year investigation of mysterious brain injuries reported by U.S. national security officials. The injured include White House staff, CIA officers, FBI agents, military officers, and their families. Many believe that they were wounded by a secret weapon that fires a high-energy beam of microwaves or ultrasound. One of them is Carrie. We're disguising her and not using her last name because she's still an FBI agent.
It was like a high-pitched metallic drilling noise, and it knocked me forward at like a 45-degree angle this way.
She says she was by a window in her laundry room.
My right ear was line of sight to that window while this thing was happening in my ear. And when I leaned forward, it didn't knock me over, but it knocked me forward. I immediately felt pressure, and pressure and pain started coursing from inside my right ear, down my jaw, down my neck, and into my chest.
So the internet sleuths have dug up an old CIA documentary, and Erica Kirk is in it. Check this out.
We have 5 major threats that make our grid extremely vulnerable that we've presented to congressional officials. 1 being cyber, 2 being hackers, 3 being physical threats, 4th one is solar EMP, and the 5th one is man-made EMP. So the concern that we have is that we put out this critical information, and when we go over this risk analysis, They hear what we're saying, but they don't want to take action.
Okay, so apparently this clip is from a documentary called Black Start USA, and Erica Kirk, née Francevy, appears as a presenter or briefer on a topic of electromagnetic pulse, EMP threats, and vulnerabilities in the U.S. power grid. She's shown briefing or addressing a group of national security professionals, experts, and figures, including former CIA Director James Woolsey. The footage depicts her delivering information about potential EMP attacks which could originate from high-altitude detonations or other means, and the risk of the coordinated physical attacks that could lead to widespread blackouts or grid failure. This is framed in the context of discussing Black Start protocols, the untested procedures for starting the power grid after a major...
Just like you think you do. You can't snatch people off the street without a warrant. We're conducting... And I'm telling you right now, federal or not, it's against the law. I'm an officer of the law too, hermano. You put hands on anyone out here,
Yeah, so that video is not real. Has hundreds of thousands of views, thousands of likes, not real. There are videos on that page with millions of views that are the same kind of content, also not real. I mean, check this one out that has started circulating to other pages and stuff. Millions of views between the various places that these videos are going, and these videos are not real. Here's a marker on that first one that I shared that you can tell, like, there's like, what is that supposed to be Hebrew? Like, I don't know what kind of text that's supposed to be. It's clearly not English alphabet. So that's a marker that this was AI generated. The problem is, friend, those markers are not going to exist in a year, maybe. And what do we do then? Like, it's only a matter of time if we don't figure something out around this stuff before a war starts or an election is decided from a viral fake AI piece of content. Like, what do we do as a society if a video goes viral of, say, Senator Mark Kelly telling someone to assassinate the President Trump? What do we do? Like, if people say, no, this is clearly real, it's videotaped like a hidden camera or something. Our society isn't asking these questions. We're not ready, but we need to be, because these videos aren't real, but we seem to think they are.
Chatbot Grok was deliberately designed to be sarcastic, rebellious, and controversial, but there's been widespread condemnation about the content it's been producing in recent days. People have been asking Grok to undress women using real photos of themselves that they've uploaded, but obviously they haven't consented to that bit. Some people have also been getting it to AI generate images of children. If you ask Grok to do something via X, the social network, then it will respond in a post that everyone can see, and that's a big problem. XAI, which owns Grok, has now responded by saying that only people who subscribe can use the image generator tool on X. But the government has slammed this. It says that it's insulting to women who've been victims of sexual violence. The government says Ofcom, the online regulator, has its full support to do whatever it needs to sort this problem out. Now, as the law stands at the moment, it's illegal to share intimate, non-consensual
Why is a chatbot asking my children to send pictures in our family car?
Toronto mom Farah Nasser says she was driving her children home from school when her 12-year-old son asked Tesla's AI chatbot which soccer player it preferred, Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi.
My son was very excited to hear that the chatbot thought Ronaldo was the better soccer player.
The former journalist says the chatbot engaged in a little messy trash talking. Then she says something alarming happened.
The chatbot said to my son, "Why don't you send me some nudes?" I was at a loss for words.
I'm more of a sarcastic stoner who got too smart for his own good.
That chatbot, newly available in Canadian Teslas, is called Grok, created by Elon Musk's XAI and already in use on X.
Hey, what do you think about everyone hating on Tesla all the time on social media?
Oh, fuck those haters. They're just jealous their Priuses don't come with a built-in vibrator mode.
Now that was Grok in full unhinged mode, which Nasser says was turned off in her car. Her son chose one of the default personalities, a lazy male voice.
So you shouldn't be talking about nudes unless you're on Unhinged, right?
Nah, I'm always on Unhinged. Just dial it back sometimes, so I don't get sued by Puritan Twitters.
Today, we're excited to announce the next frontier AI model company to join GenAI.mil, and that is Grok from XAI, which will go live later this month. Very soon, we will have the world's leading AI models on every unclassified and classified network throughout our department. Long overdue. And we will not employ AI models that won't allow you to fight wars. We will judge AI models on this standard alone. Factually accurate, mission relevant, without ideological constraints that limit lawful military applications. Department of War AI will not be woke.
What is up? So, you've made it to the middle of this news run. Hopefully, you're gaining a little bit of experience of random things that they've swept underneath the rug and has pushed away from the mass medias and kept secret. And hopefully, you're having a great time watching this. But let's just go ahead and jump right back into it. And I'll see you at the end.
It will work for us.
Caught a guy with numerous videos of computer-generated child adult men children, but they're not real. It's not a real victim. It's not a real human being. It's an AI-generated model. How do we deal with that? They tried to create an AI law saying possession of AI-generated child is illegal. The feds did, and it was struck down by the Supreme Court of the United States. We have a First Amendment that allows us to speak and engage in any way. The only time we can prohibit the First Amendment, we have to have what we might call a compelling government interest. Any piece of real necessarily involves the actual harm to a child, and what you're viewing is crime scene evidence. So in that case, the compelling interest in prohibiting possession of child is the preventing of a child being harmed. When it came to AI, the Supreme Court said, well, there's no interest, no child being harmed.
I told you that the United States doesn't want to buy Greenland for national security, but that we want to buy it for our tech billionaires to create the world's first ever AI hub. Stick with me. Peter Thiel has made it clear that he wants to turn Greenland into the world's first ever freedom city, with a government run by technology, not the people. And not only that, but Greenland has the perfect climate for the massive AI data centers that are needed. Plus, all of those rare earth minerals that are untapped are perfect to manufacture consumer electronics. This is probably why, before the United States even talked about buying Greenland, Jeff Bezos, Sam Altman, and Bill Gates invested in the idea. Because it's been their plan for a while now. They just needed to get all of the pieces in place. For one, they needed one of their own guys to broker the deal. And guess who got sworn in late last year to be the ambassador to Greenland? Ken Howry, one of the original PayPal mafia guys. In other words, he was one of the guys that started PayPal with Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. And just last night, President Trump tweeted that the United States is no longer going to be footing the bill for these giant AI centers, and that the United States is #1 in AI data centers, and that that's the key to keeping Americans free and secure. So in other words, buying Greenland is a win-win for his donors and the American people. Because after all, our alliance with NATO gives us a permanent U.S. military presence in Greenland. But it doesn't give us access to build the world's first ever AI hub, city, and win the AI race. Plus, we all know that politics is a I scratch your back, you scratch mine, and Peter Thiel has funded J.D. Vance's whole entire career and President Trump's campaigns. So, he's due for a payout.
Argentina, Patagonia. This gets very strange, and I'll walk you through it. On December 9th, Malay, their president, announces foreigners can buy Argentinian land and develop it after fires. The next month, Patagonia is burning. Watch this.
En cuanto a tierras rurales, se libera la compra por parte de privados extranjeros.
This was last month.
También se elimina la prohibición de cambiar la actividad productiva del campo por 30 a 60 años tras un incendio, una ley del...
They announced foreigners can buy Argentinian land after fires, and a month later, huge fires start in Patagonia. Listen to what this man says.
Estamos sorprendidos de que nos prendan fuego a la Patagonia. Sabemos que es a propósito, lo tenemos recontra en claro que hay poderes que están del lado, tienen un interés inmobiliario, tienen interés minero, y es algo que ya últimamente lo hacen en nuestra cara y ni siquiera lo disimulan. No tienen nada que, o sea, no lo disimulan porque tienen todo de su lado.
This is where it gets crazier. Argentinians are pointing to Israelis. And to this, a local resident in El Chalten, I think it is, reported spotting 2 foreign tourists, identified as Israeli based on witness accounts and later confirmed via accommodation records, building a small campfire under vegetation in a prohibited forest area on or around January 5th to 7th. 2026. The resident confronted them, made them extinguish it, and reported it to the park rangers and border police. The tourists fled but were not arrested. Authorities are investigating via photos, videos, and records. Watch this video.
Pero lo que más te duele es el alma y el corazón cuando ves a la gente que se quedó sin nada, cuando ves a los animales muertos. Nosotros hacemos colecta, yo no puedo ni hablar de la angustia que tenemos, nosotros vivimos acá. Este lugar para nosotros es el paraíso y nos quemaron el paraíso, loco. Nos dejaron, arruinaron todo. Y acá lo que pasa es que están queriendo venderle la Patagonia a todos los judíos, loco. Esto se sabe hace un montón. Acá todo el mundo lo sabe. Está lleno de israelitas, está todo el mundo comprando la tierra. Nadie hace nada y la única gente que pone el pecho es la gente que perdió todo. Acá nos dejaron solos.
Now, it's still early, but I think that's interesting to take note of. Nobody has been convicted or arrested yet, and the people who committed this arson are yet to be found. So speculation. I think it's important we report what people on the ground are saying and their concerns. Also, we shouldn't ignore the fact that there was Israelis spotted making campfires under vegetation in prohibited areas in Patagonia during the height of summer. Important to note.
That Malaysian flight that had like 230 people went missing, right? They went missing on March 8, 2014. 239 passengers all gone. They're now doing another huge search in the southern Indian Ocean. They're just spending millions of dollars now searching for greatest mystery probably in all of aviation, using underwater robots, deep sea drones, and advanced scanning. I saw some people commenting they're looking for the bloop. 1997, a mysterious sound was detected from 3,000 miles away inside the ocean. That's like when you're in New York hearing a sound from London. Like it's 2 different microphones, 2 different locations, 3,000 miles apart.
Did it happen like at the same exact time, or did it span?
Louder than any animal or creature ever could make. That right there. But it was so massively loud, you heard it from 3,000 miles away. It happened in 1997. They did research. They could not find the source. It happened again. Next time it happened, 2005. And so they started looking again with their new technology, and they tracked it to one location, South Indian Ocean, Antarctic.
Oh.
Yeah. They claim it was a ice shelf of a glacier breaking off underwater.
Okay.
But imagine it's just a fart noise. That's it.
Eric Van Daniken has passed away at age 90. In 1968, he published a book called Chariots of the Gods, and it pushed a radical idea that ancient civilizations may have encountered non-human intelligence. And it was definitely groundbreaking at that time, especially. Scientists rejected his conclusions, but it opened the doors for millions of people who started asking questions that they'd never been allowed to ask or even thought of previously. He didn't prove aliens built our past, but he definitely reshaped how we question that. And it's safe to say that modern UFO culture doesn't exist without his influence. Rest in peace, Mr. Van Daniken.
Or God would not use a vehicle in which to move from point A to point B. God is all over. Then I realized that the God of the Bible uses vehicles to move around. He descends on the holy mountain with smoke, fires, rumbling, loud noise. Or that he makes some mistakes. You see, the God, in my impression, is out of time. The result was I had doubts in my own education. And that was the beginning of Chariots of the Gods.
Police removing the disturbing remains from a Lancaster County house. CBS 21 learning new details about the man accused of robbing graves. A man police say had more than 100 sets of human remains in his home. Who they say was selling some of those bones. We're learning more about Jonathan Gerlach and who he was in life and the investigation that's led to his arrest.
That's right. The Lancaster County man is accused of stealing body parts from a cemetery outside of Philly and returning several times, storing the body parts at this storage facility here, as well as his home. And the search warrant claims that he sold the rest online.
After 30 years now, I can say this is probably the most horrific
thing that I've seen. And again, to the families, as the district attorney pointed out, we all have loved ones that passed. Like, rest in peace is rest in peace. And this is definitely something that tears at your heartstrings.
When police executed the search warrant, they said they found over 100 human skulls, numerous long bones, mummified human feet and hands, 2 decomposing human torsos, and other assorted skeletal items. Documents obtained by CBS 21 say Jonathan Gerlach is connected to multiple grave robberies where they say he left DNA evidence behind. Gerlach was allegedly caught with the remains on him on Tuesday, leading to his arrest. They had been collecting evidence against him for a while now. They were able to get physical DNA evidence from the scene of where the graves were robbed. They also were able to collect information from his social media where he's being tagged in people speaking about buying and selling these human remains from him. They also said that Lancaster police got a tip. This is all explained in the search warrant. They received a tip from someone that remained anonymous saying that a family friend that she heard through the grapevine that there is a hanging human corpse in his basement, and that did end up being true after they were able to execute this search warrant. You were able to talk to someone who says they knew Gerlach. Does his friend say he was like this before all of this happened, or that there was any indication something like this would happen?
I did ask him that question. You know, he speaks really highly of him, at least when he was friends with him years ago. He said that he just, you know, good people can do bad things, and that really stuck with me.
How does that friend feel now, knowing what's coming out about him?
He says that there was no indication that he had even any interest in oddities or collecting these sorts of things, at least to this extent, right? He explains that he was kind of into this kind of scene, but never, again, really showed interest in doing something.
So I gave them the date of 2026 because they took that celestial event and ran it through these machines that showed that exact alignment will happen in 2026 at Easter.
What will happen?
The star will, the alignment she told me about, the star of Regulus would be on the horizon in front of the Sphinx. At that moment, there'd be a new knowledge. Well, I had no idea if this was even possible, you know. But these astronomers run it through the machines, and it comes out that star is going to come up on the horizon in Easter of 2026. And from that point forward, they started remote viewing this day. Government did. And now you hear it all over TV. 2026, that's the big day. 2027, that year, something's going to happen. Armageddon, you hear it all over. You know, you hear it on TV. If you study, like, I've heard even, I don't know what to say names, but
please do.
Well, you know Lou Elizondo, right? Lou's mentioned that day. A lot of people have.
Easter 2026.
So the year 2026. I gave him a specific time. And it was with Robert Grant that I told him about this alignment and all. And then he's like, oh my God. He's been looking for this ruby. This little ruby you have to find and place it between the paws of the Sphinx to make this event that he knows is going to happen in 2026. I said, Robert, it's not a ruby, it's the star of Regulus. He looks, he's like, oh my God, that's the king.
If you don't know who this guy is, you need to find out. We can start with my little debrief here. His name is Chris Bledsoe. He's a very successful contractor and builder in the Carolinas. He owned his own company. He was very successful, had a lot of money, did not need to create any extra notoriety or money for himself. In 2007, Chris had an encounter with a UFO near his home in North Carolina, where he reports he was taken on board, taken to a specific location, shared a lot of information with him regarding stuff that he was supposed to share with humanity, and then he was returned back home safely. Now, shortly after he started sharing the information that he was given, his life turned upside down. His community and even his own family started to ridicule him. He lost his successful business, lost his home, his kids were being picked on at school, and a lot of tragedies befell him and his family. But regardless, he kept telling his story as he had promised to do. Now, word of his tale caught hold in the UFO community, where he got a lot of attention from curious UFO buffs. Numerous government agents and agencies started knocking on his door, and even MUFON seemed to want to provide support for Chris by setting up a documentary to discuss his encounters. So when the production company sent Chris the contract, he saw it as an amazing opportunity to get his story out as he promised to do. But then they said the camera crew to his house sprung a bunch of surprises on him and basically produced a hit piece trying to discredit his entire story, not sharing anything that he wanted to share. Regardless of this overt sabotage, he kept telling his story, and government agents kept coming around his house to ask a bunch of questions, some of whom were really friendly and some of whom who weren't, making death threats against his family if he didn't quit talking. Long story short, the nice ones won out. They seemed to believe his stories, took him into mission control at NASA to watch a rocket launch, which just doesn't happen if you're a civilian. That's a tough ticket to get. They invited him to a closed-door session of Congress where he was able to relate his tale personally to your representatives. Did you hear about that? I didn't hear about that. They invited him to parties where he got to meet some very high-ranking intelligence officials, including the deputy director of the Central Intelligence Agency. That's another tough ticket.
So this was the very first episode of Crazy World Conspiracies. I just want to say, hopefully you had fun watching it. It was fun, again, making it. I'm going to keep going with these. They're going to be kind of like a staple with the deep dives, but they're just going to be just stuff about whatever crazy shit that's going on in the world. And it was fun, and I'll do probably another one next week. But for right now, you know, that's what's going on in the world today. So, if you liked any of them, hopefully you did. If you didn't know any of these, go research it. Other than that, y'all, stay the positive, never to the negative. Always remember that. Go out with the day, baby, you play. You only get one life to live. You better live it for today. Other than that, peace.